Apologies for that. My microphone was off, but now it is on, so let's get started. As the legislative session approaches, two Mat-Su Republicans wait to be brought into the fold as state lawmakers. Those men are Steve St. Clair and Garrett Nelson. They're waiting to be confirmed by the House Republicans to fill the House seats of now Senators Kathy Tilton and George Rochner. But they enter at a time when several hot-button issues are likely to take much of the spotlight. Our political reporter Will Courtney asked what their top priorities would be during the session.
Priorities would be the budget, of course, health and social services, and education. We're not done with education. You can't just throw money at it and expect changes. We need to make requirements, uh, incentivize. Priorities are just to get to Juneau, get organized, figure out exactly what we're doing. I'm not looking for any special committee. I'm not looking for any committee assignments. I'm just willing to go wherever they need me.
But I want us to have a long-term, stable fiscal plan in place that can't be dinked around with. That's one. The other thing is that I want us to utilize our natural resources to drive, and that will take care of the budget thing.
We'll have the extended conversation with both St. Clair and Nelson available today on the Alaska's Political Pipeline podcast. Catch the latest episode on our website, mobile app, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. The Anchorage Police Department says an officer reported being shot at while on patrol Christmas morning. APD says it happened before 6 a.m. Thursday while the officer was driving by a home near 34th and Spenard. They said multiple units and the SWAT team were called in to help a person who was thought to be armed. The department added that officers discovered there were multiple people in the home and used a, quote, series of tactics. APD says no one was injured and 6 people were arrested on various charges, including outstanding warrants. Alaska Regional Hospital is reporting an increase of patients with frostbites as cold weather temperatures continue. The Department of Health says Alaska's cold temperatures pose a risk factor for cold-induced injuries like frostbite. Early onset warning signs start off as a frost nip. That includes symptoms like decreased circulation and a tingling sensation. As the injury worsens and becomes frostbite, the injured area starts to feel hard. According to Alaska Regional, there is not a set amount of time it takes to get frostbite. It really depends on weather conditions and the person's health. The hospital recommends that people dress weather appropriate to help prevent it.
There's going to be layering is going to be one issue, but really important is moisture control, because if you're sometimes it's a common thing to say, oh, it's so cold, let's get a lot of clothes on and overbundle, but if you start sweating underneath, that's a big problem. So you want to have the layer closest to the skin to be moisture wicking, so that you don't have wetness like right up against the skin. If there's wind, you want to have a wind barrier.
Areas such as your nose, earlobes, and fingers or toes are more at risk, according to the hospital. As Fairbanks shivers through another round of 30 below temperature, the local rescue mission is experiencing a familiar increase in demand. But unlike some other shelters that provide immediate warmth, their high barrier model is focused on long-term solutions. The mission maintains a strictly drug and alcohol-free environment to protect everyone on site. Those who can't meet these requirements are directed to the downtown warming centers or Northern Hope. Last year, they served 60,000 meals and provided 46,000 bed nights, showing the continued need for their services.
It's not a drastic drop, but the numbers are lower than before, but the place is far more productive as far as helping people get back on their feet and getting a life and getting an apartment and getting reunited with their families.
The mission has helped permanently house nearly 800 people over the last 5 years. As the holiday season is in full swing, the Alaska Department of Health is reporting a spike in flu cases, and it's higher than it was the same time last year. Will Courtney breaks down the numbers.
We're starting to get deep into flu season, and the Alaska Department of Health said last week we've seen a notable increase in influenza or the flu since mid-November. Now, about the same time last year, there were 108 confirmed cases of the flu. The next week saw a spike up to nearly 500. But this year, what we're looking at right now is state numbers showing 816 reported cases, confirmed cases of the flu on the week of December 20th. So we're looking at a pretty sizable uptick in the flu, but we actually haven't surpassed the highest peak of the flu this year. That goes all the way back to March when there were 990 cases of the flu reported. Let's take a better look at what we've been looking at over the last few weeks. This is that rise that we've been seeing up to this point that we're currently at. This was just last week, 391 cases reported before, of course, reaching that 816 cases we're seeing as of the week of December 20th. So something we're also watching as well, state numbers showing RSV and COVID-19. Now, COVID in Alaska seems to be similar to what it looked like last year, but RSV exploded about the same time. State numbers show we're currently at 75 cases of RSV and 50 cases of COVID. So we know Alaskans are getting sick right now, unfortunately, but what can you do to help keep yourself healthy? Well, let's look at what the CDC says. The CDC says you can do a few things to keep healthy. CDC data says getting vaccinated ultimately going to be the best way to reduce the flu, reducing the risk of having to go to the doctor by 40 to 60%, but it doesn't guarantee immunity from the flu, though. So that's where the CDC says you can deploy other methods, like avoiding close contact and staying at home. We all remember that COVID 6-foot rule, and while we are in a pandemic, fortunately, employing some space could help keep you healthy. Another great idea, covering your mouth and washing your hands. The CDC says viruses like the flu spread when people cough, sneeze, or talk. So putting on a mask if you are sick helps keep the virus from spreading. If you aren't sick, it could also help keep you from catching the flu. Will Courtney, Alaska's news source.
Now switching gears to some more national news, Katrin Asaf has your week ahead from Washington.
Congress remains in recess for the final week of 2025, and President Donald Trump is spending the rest of his year in Florida. However, the president is set to welcome Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to Mar-a-Lago on Monday. Netanyahu's visit to the U.S., his fifth this year, comes as the president and regional mediators are pushing to move to the second stage of the ceasefire in Gaza between Israel and Hamas. An Israeli newspaper reported the two leaders are also set to speak about Iran, an Israeli-Syria security agreement, and the ceasefire with Hezbollah in Lebanon. Also this week, Brian Cole, the man charged with planting pipe bombs outside the Republican and Democratic National Committees on the eve of January 6th, is due in federal court Wednesday. The FBI arrested Cole earlier this month. The man charged with shooting two National Guard members in Washington in November, killing one of them, is also due in court on Friday. The Department of Justice recently announced the alleged shooter will face federal charges in connection with that attack. He could potentially face the death penalty if convicted in federal court. That's your week ahead in Washington. I'm Katrin Asaf.
Excuse me for that. Today in South Florida, another high-stakes meeting between President Trump and a world leader. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu visits Mar-a-Lago amidst renewed tensions with Iran. It comes just a day after Ukraine's president met with President Trump there as the U.S. tries to broker peace between Ukraine and Russia. Trump says he spoke with Russia's president for 2 hours before meeting with the Ukrainian leader Bofta Yaman. Has more.
After a nearly 3-hour meeting between President Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, the two spoke of progress made, but still no peace plan was finalized.
We had a terrific meeting. We discussed a lot of things. As you know, I had an excellent phone call with President Putin that lasted for over 2 hours. We discussed a lot of points, and I do think we're getting a lot closer.
One of the key issues, security guarantees to help deter further attacks, which Zelensky stressed is critical for lasting peace. He called Sunday's meeting productive.
We have a great achievements, 20-point peace plan, 90% agreed, and U.S.-Ukraine security guarantees 100% agreed. U.S.-Europe, Ukraine security guarantees almost agreed. Military dimension 100% agreed.
As for the ongoing battle over land, that still remains unresolved.
Have you agreed on the so-called free trade zone on Donbass? How to separate the sites? How to make the separation line? Who will be responsible?
The word agreed is too strong. I would say not agreed, but we're getting closer to an agreement on that.
While the president says Russia wants a deal to happen, he made it clear that Russia did not agree to a temporary ceasefire ahead of any peace deal. More bilateral talks and larger meetings are expected in January.
And we agreed that our teams will meet in upcoming weeks to finalize all discussed matters. And we agreed with President Trump that he will host us and maybe in Washington, European leaders and Ukrainian delegation.
President Trump avoided laying out a hard deadline, but indicated they'll know in a few weeks where things stand. In Washington, Bofta Imam, NBC News. Now, in the days since President Zelensky announced his meeting with Trump, at least 2 people have been killed and dozens hurt in attacks by Russia on Ukraine's capital. In Washington, Bofta Imam, NBC News.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will meet with President Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago today. The two leaders are expected to focus their discussion on Gaza and Iran. This will be Netanyahu's 6th meeting with President Trump this year, and it's anticipated that they will discuss possible opportunities for peace and an end to the Palestinian militant group Hamas's rule in the Gaza Strip. Negotiations on the next stages of Trump's plan to end the 2-year war in Gaza have been continuing, as the first phase of the peace plan is about to conclude. Additionally, sources say that Netanyahu is expected to discuss Iran's expansion of its ballistic missile program. Netanyahu's last visit to Mar-a-Lago was in July of 2024 before President Trump was re-elected to his 2nd term. And many post-holiday travelers face weather delays and dangers today. Storms spawning along a cold front are affecting tens of millions of people. Much of the Northeast is dealing with severe snow and ice storms. In the Midwest today, forecasters warn blizzards are the concern. The FAA says Chicago O'Hare Airport had a ground stop yesterday. Utilities report more than 100,000 recent power outages in the region. Some communities are recovering from tornado damage. Meanwhile, FlightAware reports about 10,000 U.S. flight delays and 800 cancellations yesterday. That follows another rough day for some passengers Saturday. And now, speaking of that really cold weather, we're going to head over to meteorologist Aaron Morrison, who's going to give us a breakdown over what our day and our week is going to look like. Aaron.
Yeah, we're still holding on to that bitter cold through the interior here in South Central. We've got some gusty winds. That's keeping wind chills below 0 and out towards southeast. This is where we're going to see our main focus for some weather concerns over the next couple of days, as we've got snow, freezing rain, as well as some gusty conditions and some flooding concerns, which remain in the forecast for southeast. This comes as an area of low pressure and an atmospheric river builds into the panhandle that will also lead to some additional light accumulation across South Central through Prince William Sound and southern parts of the Kenai. While we can't rule out some flurry activity further north into Anchorage, largely expecting most of the snow today to stay confined to coastal areas. But we got several locations up under winter weather alerts. We've still got a high wind warning out towards Valdez, Thompson Pass. And while we do have winter storm warnings through southeast, you can see we've also got some flood advisories for the southern panhandle. This is where temperatures are warming into the 40s and the 50s, and where we're expected to see some flooding concerns. Now, winds have been gusty through the weekend. You can see winds through the Aleutian, South Central, as well as southeast have been gusting about 30 to 50 miles per hour so far this morning. Of course, even higher wind gusts in the valley out towards Palmer, where we've seen gusts up to 80 miles per hour. This is leading to some bitter cold wind chills, and we are going to continue to favor these strong winds across South Central throughout the afternoon hours And then beyond this evening or this afternoon into the evening hours, we'll begin to see those winds subsiding across South Central. This is the fourth consecutive weekend where we've been holding on to these windy conditions across South Central. But notice through the night into tomorrow, those winds do subside. We could see an additional gust of 20 to 30 miles per hour to start off your Tuesday, but most of the winds tomorrow will stay confined to coastal areas, and the rest of South Central will begin to tap into some colder conditions. And as a result, we are going to see temperatures dropping from the teens today into tomorrow back into the lower single digits as we welcome in the new year. And you can see that on that 7-day. While we can't rule out a chance for some flurries Tuesday, New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, we tap into that colder air, and you can see temperatures dropping into the lower single digits as we welcome in next week. Of course, the big concern this week continues to remain southeast, where we've got that atmospheric river, and it's going to bring a mixed bag of precip. Freezing rain out towards Yakutat, snow as you head through the northern panhandle, snow rain through the central panhandle, and then mostly all rain through the southern panhandle outside of Hyder, which does remain up under that winter storm warning. So areas where we're going to hold on to that rain, an additional 2 to 2+ inches of rain to be expected, which will lead to some additional flood concerns. And then through the northern panhandle, we could see the potential for an additional foot of that snowfall accumulation. Of course, any rain or freezing rain that mixes in with that will erode away just how much snowfall we will see. But expect this active weather to stay with us with temperatures to the north in the teens and the 20s, while areas to the south actually warm into the 40s and the 50s. So as a result, you can see the best chance for snow will be areas to the north. I think this is underdoing the snowfall for Yakutat as it's taking into account those temperatures warming near to above 30 with some freezing rain and rain mixing in. But we should still see about 3 to 5 inches out towards Yakutat, with some areas of the northern panhandle picking up nearly a foot of that snowfall accumulation. In addition to that, areas to the southern interchannels largely expecting to see all rain, and this is where we are going to be watching those flooding concerns as we welcome in the coming days. And again, 2+ inches of that rainfall accumulation will be possible. Leading up to the new year, ongoing snow remains for the central panhandle. We could see some rain embedded within that. We'll transition into a new year with highs sitting below freezing, while overnight lows dip into the upper teens and the lower 20s, with snow expected through the weekend.
All right, thank you so much, Aaron. And if the frigid temperatures outside are dangerous for humans, that means it's also dangerous for our pets. Michael George shows us how to keep our dogs and cats safe this winter.
Mo Hussein just started fostering 8-year-old Princess, and he noticed right away that because she's a short-haired breed, she was more sensitive to the cold.
You can tell when Princess is cold. Yeah, so you start seeing signs if you're looking. They might curl up a little tighter, or you'll see a little bit of shaking and shivering in the rear legs, things like that.
With temperatures dropping, it's a good reminder that just because our furry friends have fur, that doesn't mean they're safe in the cold.
Cold weather can be very dangerous for animals.
Julie Castle, CEO of Best Friends Animal Society, an animal welfare organization, says anytime it's below 20 degrees, cats and dogs are vulnerable to frostbite and even death.
If it's below 20 degrees, if you have little booties that you can put on your dog's feet, use those.
Animals' paws, ears, and noses are the most vulnerable to cold. You should limit walks outside to the bare minimum. And when you get back inside, check your pet's paws for salt used to melt the snow.
Snow melt can be poisonous to a lot of animals, and so make sure that you wipe their paws, wash their paws off after they get outside from a long walk.
And a warning, even if you're not a pet owner, in the winter, cats often seek out the warmth of a car engine.
So if you're going to get in your car and go somewhere, make sure that you tap on the hood. I even pop my hood just to make sure there are no animals underneath there.
Mo says Princess loves her outdoor time, but he always makes sure she's warm.
Dogs in particular are so stoic. They deal with so much pain without letting you know that anything's wrong, so it's really good to keep an eye on them.
A good reminder that a warm pet is a happy pet. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
Good girl.
And after the holidays, a lot of us end up making at least one return, right? And that process can get complicated a little bit fast. In this Watching Your Wallet, consumer investigator Carice Jackman shares how to avoid return headaches and protect your money.
Presents are unwrapped, and for some shoppers, the next stop is the return line because a gift doesn't fit, doesn't work, or you already have one. Melanie McGovern with the Better Business Bureau says return rules can vary widely by retailer, so it pays to know the policy before you buy and before you try to bring it back.
It's really important when you're purchasing the item to look for that return policy, to look for that exchange policy. When you order on some of the platforms, it'll say you can return in store or pick up in store. So knowing if you can do that, really important.
And if you're the one who bought the gift, McGovern says, keep that receipt handy.
Keeping everything that comes with the package, whether it's the plastic bag that it comes in or any kind of packing slip, keep the emails that are associated with the payment to say, okay, here is my proof of payment, here is the item. Keep all the tags on everything before you decide, okay, I'm gonna keep this item.
And she says those tags matter, especially in a household with kids who want to help open everything.
Tell them to stop, just so that there's that, opportunity that if something doesn't fit or if it's not the right, thing for the person, or if it's a duplicate item, that you are able to return it by having all of those things in place before you make that return.
McGovern also says don't wait. Start the return process as soon as you know it's not right. Most stores only accept returns within a set window, and some retailers adjust those deadlines during the holidays, so check the dates and don't miss your chance. And if you bought the gift online, know the return rules before you ship it back, including any requirements for packaging, proof of purchase, or return shipping.
So reading, even asking questions, a lot of websites have that little AI chat bot in there that you could just throw in the chat. Hey, can I return this if something doesn't work out? They'll give you, you have 30 days, 90 days, 60 days, whatever, original packaging, original receipt.
With this Watching Your Wallet, I'm Carice Jackman.
Many financial experts say you should check your insurance coverage at least once a year. In this Watching Your Wallet, consumer reporter Rachel DePompa shows you how and why it's a good idea.
A few times a year, you want to check in on your car insurance coverage to make sure you have enough or that you aren't overpaying. Say, for instance, the value of your home has risen dramatically. Cherry Dale, the Vice President of Financial Education at Virginia Credit Union, says you want to make sure you are covered properly in case something bad happens, so you will get all of the money that you need to rebuild your home.
Looking at your car insurance, is there perhaps a better rate out there for your car insurance? If you bundle things, your car and your home insurance, can that help you at the end of the day?
Dale says understanding your insurance needs can actually save you money. You just have to sit down and spend some time doing the research.
Making sure that you can meet with an insurance agent. You can be proactive and go online and do your own research as well. Doing that once a year, twice a year, can help make sure you are getting the best rate and the premiums are what you need for that situation.
Dale also says taking the time to document your assets is an important piece of the puzzle. If there's a fire or flood and you have photographs and receipts of what you own, that can help you greatly as you are filing insurance claims. And she says maybe you have a policy around the things that are most important to you, making sure they are separately insured. With this Watching Your Wallet, I'm Rachel DePompa.
A major New Year's resolution is weight loss and getting in shape. And many people are turning to GLP-1 medications, prescription drugs used to treat type 2 diabetes and in some cases support weight loss. But scammers are also cashing in using fake websites and phony offers to steal money and personal information. In this Watching Your Wallet, consumer investigator Carice Jackman shares tips on how you can avoid these weight loss schemes.
GLP-1 medications like Ozempic and Wegovy have become a popular option for weight loss. And with demand growing, some people turn online to try to find them for less.
It's a hot item. A lot of people want to use it. Some insurance doesn't cover it. So a lot of people will turn to the internet to try to find a solution.
But Melanie McGovern with the Better Business Bureau says that search can also lead people to fake sellers and fraudulent offers for prescription medications.
But it's really important for people to understand not only, that you need a prescription for this type of medication, but knowing the websites you're shopping and making sure that they're reputable before you try to make an order is so important, especially when it comes to something, like a medication that you're putting into your body.
McGovern says the BBB Scam Tracker has received reports of scammers using weight loss drugs to get money and personal information.
We've seen, emails, we've seen deepfake advertising for weight loss products by celebrities that, clearly people figured it out after a while that, hey, this might be a scam.
She says there are also reports of fake online pharmacies and fake retailer pop-ups, and in some cases, people lose hundreds of dollars.
So it's so important to check to make sure that the retailer or the pharmacy that you're using is real. And, there's a lot of, advertising and marketing associated with this kind of drug because people have seen so much success that other people want to, jump on this train and see what it can do for them.
So make sure you're cautious about miracle claims, too good to be true deals, and endorsements that seem designed to pressure you into buying fast. With this Watching Your Wallet, I'm Carice Jackman.
What does the American dream mean to you? One of Washington, D.C.'s newest attractions wants to figure that out, and they want to help you achieve it. It's right across from the White House, and it's free to visit. Washington correspondent Graham Elkins takes us inside this brand new experience.
A golden, glimmering tree welcomes visitors to this one-of-a-kind exhibition. Its leaves alive with the faces and stories of everyday Americans.
See this one, I like that someone drew some musical notes.
Giving me a tour is lead curator Emily Mitzner. She and her team spent years crafting this ultimate American dream experience.
We get to see how Americans today are defining it, how they think they're doing it, achieving it, what elements are working and what elements aren't.
After adding your picture, you're invited to share your journey to the American dream. Hanging from the branches, tales of hard work and sacrifice, service in war, and immigrants pursuing a better life.
This is where we start to unpack what the American dream means.
Housed inside the former Bank of Presidents, the building's historic halls have been meticulously restored, blending Gilded Age design with cutting-edge technology. In this room, visitors add words to a 38-foot cloud above.
The number one word is freedom. That's a hard thing to do on your own. Freedom requires that we all are working on this group project together.
Other versions of the dream made with words like justice, community, wealth, love, and choice.
It's really about everyone reaching their opportune level of achievement.
Hi, I'm Serena Williams.
Up next, interactive holograms with celebrity success stories alongside Americans from all walks of life sharing their big wins. The space provides a blueprint for anyone to achieve their own version of the dream using the 4 pillars of health, education, finance, and entrepreneurship.
Those have really been the backbone of what it takes to succeed.
The data comes from decades of research by the nonpartisan Milken Institute, a think tank dedicated to the idea that everyone should have equal access to the American dream and working to break down the barriers standing in the way.
We hope that this can be a space that isn't political, that it is about what we agree on and help work toward solving some of the things that we don't.
Like the faces on the golden tree, a reminder that the American dream itself is alive and ever-changing, a 250-year group project with no end in sight. In Washington, I'm Graham Elkins.
It's that time in the holiday season where we trade plain fields with turkey dinners. But if you happen to be in the interior this weekend, the Fairbanks Curling Club provided a nice change of pace. The FCC hosted its final spiel of 2025 on Friday, welcoming in teams for some friendly competition, served up with a side of food and margaritas. Taking place on the club's 6-sheet rink, Event co-chair Ethan Burkles says they actually had to make a cutoff for teams thanks to overall interest that allowed them to make the Friday schedule work out for those that could take the ice. It marks one of the last tastes of the sport before the new year, a good benchmark for those eager to come back.
The margarita spiel is sort of like the final blowout spiel. The draw ended in the middle of December. People have had 2 weeks to soak on it, and the margarita spiel, they're just itching to get back for the spring draw, which will start the first full week of January.
You know, it's just a great time to gather. It's wonderful to have a place to go and hang out and do a little sports after Christmas, after enough family time, let's put it that way, with a different group of family. So I think this is a great tradition, and we get to eat Mexican food and for some drink margaritas. How's that?
You heard it there. If you missed out on this one and want to get out of the negative temperatures, keep an eye on that schedule. The Fairbanks Curling Club is back for the spring draw in early January, with more to come in the new year. You might have played soccer or seen it played, or at least know what soccer is, but have you ever seen elephants play soccer, or as it's known everywhere else but here in the U.S., football? Elephants entertain tourists at the annual Chitwan Elephant Festival in Nepal's Saraha, showing off their football skills on the field. Painted with colorful designs, the elephants took part in a penalty shootout following cues from their handlers. The 3-day festival included the elephant football match as well as a beauty contest, and ends on the final day with worship rituals for the animals, according to organizers. And Lindsey Vonn is Olympic bound once again. The improbable comeback for the 41-year-old is going to happen. Vonn locked in one of the 4 spots on the U.S. team with a recent success in the World Cup circuit, which included a win earlier this month in St. Moritz, Switzerland. The now 5-time Olympian won gold in Vancouver in 2010 and retired from the sport in 2019 due to numerous nagging injuries. Her comeback began 5 years later in 2024 after undergoing a partial knee replacement surgery, and now she will write her final Olympic chapter in the mountains of Cortina. Another holiday kicked off on Friday. The African-American holiday of Kwanzaa began Friday and goes on through January 1st. It's a non-religious celebration of family and social values. It's designed as a way for African Americans to reconnect with ancestral roots by celebrating African culture. Each day of Kwanzaa is dedicated to one of 7 defining principles. They are unity, self-determination, collective responsibility, cooperative economics, purpose, creativity, and faith. Sankofa Dance Theater hosted a celebration in Anchorage Friday night.
It brings the community together. It brings self together, it brings self-awareness, it brings community awareness together, and we build, connect, you find people, connect with people, and you build relationships from there.
Each night, celebrants light a new candle on a 7-branch candelabra. On December 31st, participants take part in a feast. It's getting closer. Can you feel it? The new year is approaching rapidly. The giant numerals ushering in 2026 were installed and tested, offering a preview ahead of the big countdown in New York City. The numerals are 7 feet tall and boast a combined 594 lighting pucks. The crystal ball looks different too, with red, white, and blue colors to honor America's 250th anniversary. And the lighting pucks can make it different colors, styles, and designs versus the old plain light bulbs on older numerals. Oh, how exciting! The new year is almost here. And that's it for the Morning Edition Extra this Monday morning. Thank you so much for starting off your week with Alaska's news source. I'll see you again tomorrow for another Morning Edition Extra. Have a wonderful day.